like the Bhakti Viksha group, it's like you're asked to participate hard, and you're kind of like registered and listen to a class, and work with God. They're not so active anymore, they're like in another mode. So you do get that situation, a lot of villagers, they can't understand Bhakti Viksha groups, and it's mainly a urban program for people who are educated, although in some places we found that even educated people do like it. It's just, for me, it's a bit of a mystery that why some people like it so much, one way or the other. So I decided as a policy we'll promote all the three, and according to whichever works best for the people, let them do that. But I personally, consider that Bhakti Viksha group definitely has more benefits if it works for the people. But it doesn't work in every circumstance, so we're not a fanatic about it. We hope it's working for you. We're very glad to hear that. And I'd be very happy to give whatever support we can. We can have Kunteya Das come over here and give a seminar or something if you like it. He's more of a fanatic for Bhakti Viksha group. I had to be a little neutral as the minister. But we're going to publish, or either we'll publish or we're going to get the counselor group people to publish their book. We have our Bhakti Viksha group, and we're going to make an overview about Damhad in general, so that people can, we're trying to give, well, we just was having a strategic planning discussion. I have also a program about strategic planning for your congregation, but it takes about an hour to an hour and a half, maybe to go through the whole thing. But if you'd like sometime, I could show that to you. If you want to make a strategic plan, it's using the modern kind of business terms of vision, mission statement, objectives, SMART goals, and how to apply them, and showing some of the strategic plans that different yatras have made that have the key result areas where you make plans how to take care of, build up your community, take care of your constituents in a better way. So we're trying to do things in a more organized way. But yes, sir.
It sounds like these programs sound like really exciting, very progressive programs, and I'm wondering. It sounds like you mentioned briefly some participation by initiated devotees. Is that right?
Usually the group leaders are initiated devotees, but if they are available. If we usually say that to be a group facilitator, you should be at least a Krishna sadhaka, and preferably Prabhupada Astroy or Guru Astroy or initiated better still. So it just depends. If it's got a new growing congregation, maybe you don't have enough initiated devotees at that point. So, but if they're chanting 14 to 16 rounds in the 4 regular principles, we give them a preference. If they're otherwise, at least the 8 rounds and the regular principles, basic principles. Sometimes you get situations where people live in a hostel, and in the hostel they have vegetarian, but they give onions and garlic, so they don't feel ready to take initiation yet. But otherwise, it's not like voluntary. They follow everything. There's certain kind of situations that people are in. But all that is considered when you make a facilitator. And most of the sector leaders in opera surely initiated devotees, and the group leader, probably the whole director of the program is probably a Brahmana or something.
The counseling is primarily in relationship to how to develop devotional practices, or they get into helping people with their marital problems and other levels of counseling also? Or
in the counselor system, I'm not sure. I think what they have in Chopeti is they have different committees that help. They have marriage placement, they have job placement, they have that kind of support. Because in the community, if someone needs a job, they'll give a preference to devotees. I don't know if they do that. Because I have actually sat in I had it explained to me a couple of times by people who are part of counselor groups, so I got a general idea. But they probably have to ask someone like Radha Krishna Das or
It seems like with these type of progressive programs, the number of devotees who leave Krishna consciousness will really shrink down because their emotional,
Even if in
needs.
a group there's not that direct support like marriage placement, but it would be in the overall program you would want to have things like that, like helping people to find a Krishna conscious mate. That would be a part of the, but that may not be in the group itself. That may be something that there's a separate committee of senior devotees, of responsible people that help in those areas. Like in Jayapataka, they have so many doctors. They like it's a huge congregation, about 2,000-3,000. So a number of them, they have their hospital, they have their doctors, so they offer to give medical care to other devotees, either at some free or at some discount rate. So they have that kind of social support of the community as a part of the overall system. But that's not, I don't think that's directly within the counselor group itself. Maybe the counselor would refer them to that committee.
So it's a different type of counseling, so to speak.
Well, or a different program within the community. Like I have a disciple there who's part of who's got a counselor, but she wants to get married, and so she's registered in the marriage placement committee, and there's somebody that helps her, and they're communicating now because they found somebody. And that's why I know it's like a fresh thing. I don't think it's her counselor that does that. I think it's another committee that deals with that issue. Because in a counselor group, you may have so many people, not everybody has the same problem.
So besides, so how many?
So like, even in our non-hot groups, we also in our congregation, we have that kind of support also. That's a separate community social support.
So
as your community
how many are around the rest of the world, let's say outside of India? Well, you have personally a lot of these programs in other parts of the world also, right? Is it mostly just in your zones, or other?
Delhi's not my zone. I'm just a visitor here. No, it's going on all over the place. We have a Congregational preaching newsletter, and that gives you the scores for the whole world. And like Jayapataka, they have, it's not my zone, it's Swami's zone, and they have also in Juhu, Gopal Krishna Maharaj supporting a lot. In Russia, it's very widespread. There's a lot in Russia, it's not my zone either, and there must be, I think they told me, at least 250 Bhakti Riksha groups in Russia. And in Siberia, I went to a festival in the Akai region, which is a mountainous region of Siberia, near to the Kazakhstan border. And we had, there's a devotee there who had a resort, who offered it to the devotees, and they had cabins and everything, maybe 50 cabins, so they had about 500 devotees who came to the program. And they were all wearing saris and dhotis and tilak and ecstatic kirtans. And so I was there as one of the 3 sannyasis and senior devotees giving classes. So I asked in one class, how many of you devotees live in a temple? And nobody raised their hand. I said, I thought maybe the translator, didn't understand. So, how many of you, live in a temple? And after the 3rd time I asked them, I said, Maharaj, we only have one temple in Siberia. That's in Novosibirsk. And there's 5 devotees that live in the Novosibirsk temple, and none of them came. And so then I found out that they had like different cities, like Barnaul has maybe 250 devotees and 20 Bhakti Vriksha groups, and Tomsk, which has maybe 200 devotees and 10-15 Bhakti Vriksha groups, and Novosibirsk also has maybe 10 or 12 Bhakti Vriksha groups, and there's some other, I can't remember the other names, but Omsk and another city which starts with an M, has about 150 devotees, 10 Bhakti Vriksha groups. So they had, they must have, just in the Siberia region, they have maybe 50 or more Bhakti Vriksha groups. And these are fired up devotees, and Prabhu Vishnu Maharaj goes there, and Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, and Bhakti Vaibhav Swami, some of the people that preach there. I went because I heard it was a congregational area where mainly the congregation was developing, so I went there 3 years running. This year they didn't have a program.
So most of these people then in these programs are not initiated then, is that it?
No, a lot of them initiated by those, yeah. Here your group leaders are initiated.
It seems like sometimes initiated devotees, although they may have got far enough along in the philosophy to, to take initiation, take vows, accept the guru, etc. But at the same time, it seems like sometimes they also might regress some or something. It seems like there's a great need for this to expand and
this gives everybody a chance to do some service. Like in a temple situation, you have temple president maybe there for 20 years, and the vice president, everybody. So new people don't really get so much opportunity to take too much responsibility. Where you find in the Bhakti Vriksha groups that we have ladies who are group leaders. In some places, ladies are also not only sector circle leaders. So then you have devotees who move up. They are Maha Chakrapati. That means they oversee 3 chakras. And each chakra is 12 groups, so it's like 25 to 36 groups. That means they're overseeing 400 devotees. So they're like taking a lot of responsibility for a lot of people's spiritual life and helping them. So I think they're getting, as far as, if I were to rate it, I think that someone who's a Mahachakra Senapati, should be the same as maybe a large temple in terms of the responsibility that they're taking. But then that they're managing, they're just purely preaching. But usually they're grihastas, they have jobs, they have the other things they have to do to maintain their family. So this is an opportunity for people that normally wouldn't get so much opportunity to take a responsibility to be more responsible, even while they're studying or while they're doing their jobs. And I found that, I went to one house in the Middle East, I had a DVD to show about Bhakti Vriksha, and I asked would they like to see it, and they said, well, Maharaj, we have our TV here, but we've been so busy because now we've been promoted to become whatever it is, a chakra leader or a Mahachakra leader, and we're so busy going out and visiting all the Namhats and doing their programs, doing the Bhakti Vrikshas, that we're so engaged we don't really have time to watch TV anymore. So we don't know where the cables are and we haven't watched any movies or DVDs. You can see the TV itself, that everything was spick and span. The TV was a little dusty. They hadn't been watching it. I think that impressed me. Okay, most people are addicted to the TV, right? When they go walk in the room and you gotta turn on. There were people that were so much ecstatic when they're preaching that the TV no longer had that attraction for them. They even didn't watch the news even, which usually you always think, I need to see the news, right? Some occasional something special. So that's the kind of ecstasy that they get. Yes, Prabhu?
Maharaj, sometimes when the Bhakti Vriksha is just about starting, most of the people are newcomers, like some are chanting 4 rounds, 8 rounds. So obviously philosophically they would not be very strong. And maybe the dedication...
It's good to have a little bit of a mix. When you multiply the groups, you don't put all the new in one and all the old in another. You want a mix of new, middle, and young. Because that way when you have a discussion, then the new people learn from the older people's discussion. If it's all new people, then the kind of level of the discussion is going to be also not so developed. Where if you have if it's all old people, then also they don't get so inspired, because when you're new people, you're also inspired to share and help a new person come along and give some engagement. I mean, there's also a program in Bhakti Viksha that each one teach one. You can assign a new person to a little bit older person, a little bit older person to someone even older than they are, or more senior in terms of their practices, to give a little guidance and help. So instead of like just one counselor, you have a series of counseling that when you have to teach, like there was one devotee, he was chanting, it was supposed to be a counseling for someone that was 4-round chanter. He said, well, I only chant 4 rounds, I'm older, I'm in a movement for a little longer time, he's going to chant 4, I got to chant 8 then, otherwise he won't have more respect from, to me as a, so I kind of pushed him up to take that, but he could guide on basic things. Not that he's the guru or just a mentor, just a kind of a helper to guide the things that he just went through 6 months ago, a year ago, that he can give some advice. Yeah, well, I went through that. Some people like this, some people like that. You gotta just, whatever was the practical advice, give a little training. Okay, how you chant japa, how you do the things. So that way, by having a person helping another person, then they learn better. Because if you teach someone how to chant japa, you gotta know how to do it yourself. So they've been checked. Someone see they know how to do it. Okay, now you can teach someone else how to do it. And when they teach it, it gets really reinforced. And so that way, each one teach one helps to make people more responsible in their own spiritual life. So that's another feature of the. But if you have all new people, then who's going to do that, right? So that's the problem, and that's I think your question. Because when you're just starting out, what can you do? Then once some of those people will move up gradually and start chanting more, and then you'll get more of a depth. Usually we want to have people who can go out and preach on their own. They're considered like senior preachers. And somebody who can go and visit people who are already favorable, they can talk to people who are interested and explain about Krishna consciousness, they're considered like, general standard preacher. And or junior preacher maybe, as you like. And then you have people who are just kind of more new. They're not able to explain it so well yet. They're just learning themselves. So we try to bring the senior people, and the group leader would take the people with him sometimes, and when they're doing some kind of preaching program, so they get some experience how they can explain Krishna consciousness. This is another possible program. Like say that you have a big festival, and people leave their names here that they'd like to have a home visit. They'd like someone to come and explain to them about Krishna consciousness. So 2 people always go together, never one. So you always had 2 people go, and then 1 senior and 1 trainee. One, that could be even a junior preacher, but one training person, and 1 standard preacher and 1 trainee, maybe not necessarily a senior one. Because they already asked, they'd like someone to visit them. And they can go visit and explain, tell them about the temple program, tell them about your Bhakti Viksha program, tell them about, answer their basic questions. So that way you cultivate this a way of bringing in new people into your group. And then once a person has gone on a few visits like that, then the person who's taking him says, okay, now you do half the talking. See how he talks, and then eventually he lets him do the talking and watch how he does it. When he is able to convince someone to come to the group, then he gets certified as a standard preacher, and he can go and lead a group after that. That's one of the programs. Not everyone does all these things, but there's a lot of programs within Bhakti Viksha that can do. But if you have all new people, then you gotta build up for a while. Or borrow, if one group has too many older people, get another. At least you have 2, 3 older people in the group will be good. Middle people, some people a little more experience, so they can share some of the discussions will have a little more depth maybe. What's your name?
Gopishwar Das.
Okay, Gopishwar Das. Another question?
Related to the same question, Maharaj, when we have mostly newcomers in the group, there are obviously some issues which come up which need a tough stance from the servant, from the coordinator or the facilitator. So, is that okay? How to take care of such a situation? Because everybody else is a newcomer. And let's say dedication, let's say commitment to Prabhupada, let's say commitment to ISKCON. There could be so many small issues like this, where since everybody else is a newcomer, they are not able to appreciate very much, but it needs a tough explanation to them.
Well, I know my personal preference would be that be firm, be assertive, but don't be like heavy or rude or anything. That learn how to facilitate a meeting that somebody starts going off the track, or if they start introducing, because anyway it's a discussion. So you can just, you're the person that recognizes who's going to speak next. Well, that's an interesting point. Or, well, that's kind of off the point that we're discussing. It's an interesting point. Let's discuss that some other time. Or that's an issue that generally we always consider that the Guru is sacrosanct. Let's discuss about Prabhupada next week. But right now, since we're discussing about Varaha Dev this week, let's stick to the topic and then just change and ask someone else to speak, and then kind of use more of tact and guide the thing rather than, okay, you nonsense, you're talking about my Guru and I'm going to, something, you can blow out someone, lest you see them out the door, and maybe sometime you want to call, listen, that's an interesting point, let's discuss this in private. You have a personal doubt or something, or if it's an issue, maybe you want to discuss that, but I should say, you want to maintain that you don't want it to get derailed. You want to stay focused on the topic. Since we have a system, we have a discussion, we have a discovery and understanding, then we have our application. So if you keep to that, usually you can, if people start to want to go off, you can bring them back. Sometimes you get troublemakers who want to do all the talking, they don't want other people to talk, and they may need a private discussion after. First you probably give them a discussion after that. But there's a team effort when everybody participate. You're very intelligent, you're a good communicator. But, please, we need your help to cooperate, let everybody else get a chance to speak. If still they don't want to, they want to always talk and butt in and not follow the cooperative spirit, then maybe you refer them to the sector leader to talk to them. If you're not strong enough to deal with that person, maybe there's a little personality conflict or something, then maybe you get the person shifted to another group with another leader, maybe the chemistry works better. It's more like you kind of try to do things in more of a soft way. Be firm but not heavy so much. I mean, unless someone, something really ridiculous, then maybe you can't help it, but I'm just saying as a principle, we try to do things like that. I revealed all the secrets to everybody, so usually these are for the leaders' meetings, right? But there's more techniques that they can tell just the leaders. But since I think you're all pretty much training leaders, so you need your cooperation, especially in the beginning. Once it takes a couple of years really to get the rhythm going. Once you do this for a couple of years and everybody gets habituated and you got all your developed groups and the different programs in state, it becomes like a second nature. Then you can't think of how anybody can do anything else. This is like so natural. But initially it takes some time to get it established. And just like in the beginning of ISKCON, nobody knew how to wear tilak or put on dhotis or do anything. Now everybody's trained up. So we found like that the Bhakti Riksha groups get established after some years, where then everybody is very familiar, and then the people who are the Mahachakra Patis, they're so, or Senapatis, whatever you like them, the Senas or the Bhaktas, they're so well versed in the whole thing, they've been through all these different kind of problems, that they're quite wise in giving good advice, and so there's a lot of mutual respect amongst The principal thing is to be in a service attitude. The leaders are the servant leaders. They're leading in service. When people appreciate that they have the service attitude, they're not trying to be the guru or trying to be the controller, they're just trying to be the servant. And actually, guru is the servant of everyone too. We don't really know what a guru is, but that's what gurus do, is they serve their disciples like parents serve their children. Guide them in Krishna's devotion. There was somebody in the back that had hand up? Two people there. Then we'll make these two questions, and if the ladies have a question, then we better...
Maharaj actually has two questions. Give the permission.
I don't know, does he have permission? I don't know how long we can go. I don't know if you have a time on that.
About 10-15 minutes.
Depends, you got 10-15 minutes. If it,
Maharaj, the first question is that we are talking a lot about the counseling system. So there is a concept in Bhakti Dosha about the personal guide. So can that be the same as a counselor? Can he act as a counselor? The personal guide?
to a certain extent.
So,
In the counseling system, the counselor is a very senior devotee, so he's practically, you don't see the guru so much, and he's mainly the counselor that gives you the guidance. So the personal guide is not so senior, necessarily. So up to his capacity, he'll guide. But if it goes over his capacity, he refers you up to a more senior devotee. In the counseling system, I don't think there's anybody can refer to. There's maybe a chief counselor, and then the guru. There's not so many more levels, so you're going already pretty high up. Well, here we have many levels, so you can go up, until you get to the... You can keep going up one level up the hierarchy, to the group leader, to the sector leader, to the circle leader, to the greater circle leader, to the director of the program. Above that, you go to the temple president, to the GBC. So you go a lot of levels. There's all kinds of levels. So we try to reduce. Otherwise, a lot of pressure comes on one person. So we try to spread it out a little bit. So someone has to know what his own capacity, her capacity as a counselor, as a guide. But yeah, to a large degree, he's doing the basic guidance.
can I go for the second question, Maharaj?
Shoot. That was quick.
Maharaj, actually, suppose a group leader starts with only 11 members.
It's quite okay.
And you need to expand it. Maximum length is up to 15, say. And all the members are expected to bring one with them, I mean a new person into the group. And in that stage, if he already fills the 15, the rest are left there in the queue. So could at that time the trainee leader, he can take
You can also,
group.
we say that like 15, you can think about division. Usually groups start at 8 and they go up to 15, but then if you're starting at 10, you may even go up to 20. You find it gets a bit crowded. And it really depends on the chemistry. If everybody's happy, even if it's a little bit bigger, then it's not a big problem. So usually 15 is your kind of optimum, but some cases the group just grew real fast and the training leader is not ready, not trained up enough, so the group may grow. Sometimes what you do is you have your discussions. If you have a big group like that, 20 people, you may have 2 discussions, have kirtan together, have 2 discussions. Maybe you do some things in 2 groups, and that way the training leader also gets fast-tracked for how to lead a group and how to facilitate a group. Some things like that happen. You can I mean, it's not like, okay, 15, you gotta divide now. It's something that they have to be sensitive whether, because you don't want to start a new group until the other person's ready to lead the group. Otherwise the group will flop. he had to make sure that that person is capable of being that group servant leader. He's got enough, he's sure of himself enough, he's done it enough times with the existing group, and then that, so you're fairly sure that 90% should work. Now, some groups don't fly, even despite your best effort, but then you have to redistribute the people in other groups and start all over. Or bring up another assistant leader or something. But those are like higher level, how to do, you know, the group leader, the total program leader has to oversee how things are going. Some groups are growing better, and some groups are growing slower. Why is that? Study it. Discuss these things when we have meetings with the group leaders. Some group leaders don't talk enough, they don't facilitate well, some talk too much. All kind of factors are there, you know. So, some people, they motivate everybody. Some places, maybe it's exam period, and that's in that particular, all come from one student, they all got big exams, and so they don't have time to preach. And there's so many factors, so they study that and see. I heard in one place they divided boom, boom, boom 3 times in 6 months. Usually they figure in 6 months you should multiply 6 months to a year.
Is there some kind of check and balance system so that as these group leaders work their way up with more and more responsibility? I mean, you mentioned that some might have 400 people that they're in charge of, which is more than most temples around the world, actually. So, I mean, what's the system of kind of keeping that person from getting a little intoxicated by that much authority or jurisdiction or whatever?
Well, they're up that level because they've already, you know, shown that on the lower levels they've been very sensitive to those things. Whoever's above them is always visiting their program. They're not directly, they're overseeing that many people, but they have under them a whole hierarchy also of people that are taking. So it's divided. It's kind of a whole team effort. They oversee that many people, but it's not like a temple president over his brahmacharis, and because they're all congregational grihastas and students, and they're not. You can't just like tell them to do something weird and everyone's going to follow. That wouldn't fly very well. So they find that they're usually quite, as I said, very mature people. I'm very impressed when as they're moved up, because say there's 3 circle leaders, and the one that's moved up to be the Mahacircle was the one that seems to be the most receptive, the most humble, the most servicial, the most having the better qualities. They move him up first. So the competition is how to be more of a Vaishnava. That's the kind of qualities that get rewarded. There's always the temple president, or there's a group leader, a group program coordinator, or director, who's over these senapatis. In the back, there was one more person way in the back. Yeah.
Well, as a part of counseling in the Bhakti Vriksha program, my question is that what should be the main responsibilities of the counseling? How counseling should act over it?
Participate in the meetings regularly. Do your daily devotional activities. Give your reports. If you're given some kind of preaching assignment, or then to do that, do that. That's the basic. That's another thing. See, the Bhakti Vriksha group has preaching, where counseling groups don't have preaching. They don't usually give assignments for preaching, to just check on their sadhana. When Bhakti Vriksha is more oriented at outreach and bringing new people in. So if you're asked to try to find one new person to come for the next week's meeting, then that's your assignment for the week. If you're asked to distribute 10 books, then that's your assignment, whatever. Maybe you do both. And when you're a part of the meeting, then you try to be a team player. It's not so complicated, really. So was any ladies have a question? They all ran off.
Maharaj, sometimes newcomers, those who chant sometimes 8 rounds, sometimes 16 rounds they chant.
Not so new then. Not very new.
Actually they chant 16 rounds, sometimes 8 rounds, and they are very careless and sometimes lazy minded also. If you call to class also, I'm coming, I'm sleeping now, I'll come tomorrow. They say, for them how to take care. Consistent.
Well, you got a lot of experienced people here. What's some of the suggestions of the other preachers? If somebody's a little bit lazy in their spiritual life, if there was, come let's meet, Sachin's going to be here for the weekend, I got a special meeting with him, oh, okay, let's go, fire it up. So, there's going to be a movie star, okay, let's go. But let's come to the meeting. How do you inspire them? What's your secret?
We can go to him at his place.
Go to his place.
So he's waiting, so we all can go to him.
Have the meeting in his house. That's one solution.
Well, I think that's the secret of Bhakti Vriksha. If somebody is involved in the service, then possibly he's lazing because he's possibly trying to dissociate himself from listening. But if he's doing practical service, then he'll not be lazy. So if it's a Bhakti Vriksha group working, then...
The Prabhupada said, try to find out what inspired. He wrote this letter to the one, Sukadev Das. Maybe you know that letter. He says that for the educated people, don't try to give them too many rules and regulations, and rather just try to encourage them to do the things they like to do. They like to write, let them write for Krishna. They like to do computing for Krishna, let them, for those days there wasn't computing so much, but let them do the things that they like to do. So try to encourage them in what they like to do. If they're doing 8 rounds, thing, you're doing really good. It's good. They did 16 someday, very good. That's your crorepati. 16 rounds a day is 1 crore names of Krishna in a year. So if you chant every day 16 rounds, then Kon Banaoge crorepati. You become a crorepati. So you're doing 8 rounds, so you're 50 lakhs. Okay, you're halfway there. I try to encourage the people and try to, what inspires, sometimes someone go, look, go personally and preach to them how, human life is so important, this, that. I don't know what it takes. Get someone to sponsor a good prashad, they can work from prashad. But that's where the personal touch comes in. The group leaders, if someone doesn't come, they phone them up. Hey, you didn't come this week. What happened? You're sick? Anything? This is the important thing, because sometimes people complain. I was sick. Nobody called me. Nobody cares. I could live or die. Nobody cares. The Christian priests come and always, they come and preach to me. But the devotees, they don't care. Sometimes they get in these kind of mentalities. So the fact that the leader or also his personal guide, hey, what happened? You didn't come. Or before they call up, so you're going to come, right? We're depending on you. We need you to come. Come on, you're part of the team. No, I don't feel. No, come on, you're part of the team. We need you. There's only 8 of us. If you don't come, it's like we're cutting off our left foot, our right arm, or something. A year. You got to come too. Come on, we need you. And if they don't come, hey, come, how come we didn't come? We really missed you. So then, by that personal touch, and usually, if someone doesn't want to come, what can you do? I mean, everyone's got free will. But if you do everything you can to get them to come, the Prabhupada said that to make somebody Krishna conscious, you have to spill 200 kilos of spiritual blood. So that effort of enthusing people, getting them to come, sometimes preaching and look at, don't you? What's happening? You were such a good devotee, now you're not coming anymore. Now everybody's got mobile phones. Hey, meeting's about to start. You're not here. Get over here quick. But also make the meetings. Sometimes you find the people having, maybe in the meeting there's someone criticized them with some personal thing. It's all different things, sentimental things sometimes. So finding out, going to the person, talking to the person, what's wrong, what's happening. Maybe there's some other problem. It's a lot to do. A lot to keep you busy, a lot for the... Some things the servant leader may ask the intern, the training leader to check it out, go and see what's happening. So you do. So this is highly interactive. That's what helps to keep people involved, yeah?
What is the optimum time in which a healthy Bhakti Vriksha group would multiply or split? Is there any time limit?
It varies in different places, but I said, they think usually at least, usually a year would be the outer limit, but they say in England it takes 2 years. It's slower in England. But in England they don't even do Bhakti Vriksha, they do mainly Namahatas. So I don't know. In some places I say that they do it in 6 months. So generally in the Indian communities, you find 6 months to a year would be the time. But it may vary. Sometimes people even do it quicker. Some people take a little longer. But usually if it's not a year, would be the outer limit for most places. So thank you very much. So far, how many of you have been attending Bhakti Vriksha group meetings? Only a few. How many of you that haven't attended are feeling interest to attend one of the Bhakti Vriksha groups? Any new people? You should sign up, be part of it. It's a lot of fun. I personally, because I've done a lot of training seminars, and all the group discussions when they have the training seminars, I found it was very exciting. Even so many people, actually even young people have a lot, like little kids, have some very interesting ideas sometimes from the readings. What to speak of intelligent youth like you all. If you're not a member of one of the groups, you should sign up, join up, become a member. It's a good program. Thank you very much. Do we have any machine oil? You have prasad to give out or machine oil?
Well,
Well, they go over there, I think.
पीछे
This is oil from the Shingadev Abhishek in Mayapur. Put it on your head and takes away obstacles. Good for all kinds of obstacles in your life.
His Holiness Satchinandan Swami Maharaj! Hare Krishna, I'm prizes. I just come from my seminar and then get an award. This is very, very, very nice. Thank you very much, Maharaj. This was very nice. I would like to address you all very briefly. Who of you does congregational preaching or is related in some ways? May I just have a quick show of hands? Very good. Good. I think we have heard already from since many years how important this congregational preaching is. I do remember that Jayapataka Maharaj came often to Switzerland and Germany and gave long presentations, and one thing which has still stuck in my mind is when Maharaj was traveling with Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada had showed him a church and said that our movement will in one sense be similar. See, in churches not so many people live, maybe a priest does his service for the congregation, but many, many people come to take the services of a church. So in the same way, Prabhupada prophesied that the temples will not have so many inhabitants, but there will be a tremendous amount of congregations. And I have heard Maharaj saying this, and I have heard Prabhupada saying this, but I could not really believe it very much until the recent developments in the own place in which we preach, that is Germany. We have beautiful temples there, but these temples are totally full and totally used only during the festival times when the congregation comes. Now, just a little while ago in America and in Germany, there was a questionnaire put to the people who live in America and independently to the people in Germany. The question said like this: what do people expect from a religion, and what do they not want from a religion? And this is the answers are very interesting and telling, and I request you to note this with great attention. What people want is, they want to have an experience. Not only some words, some philosophy, but an experience which nourishes them. And what they do not want from a religion or even a spiritual group is some dogma, that is some lifeless rules and regulations. Do this and don't do this. That people do not like to hear any longer. Maybe 20 years ago they were not so careful about this or so difficult about it, but nowadays people want an experience and not a prescription. So I believe really that here is the strength of congregational preaching. When the congregational preaching is nicely engaged, is nicely set up, at such a time people can really chant together with devotees and make that experience which transforms them. You can hear some kirtan is now coming. People like to see, here's something happening, and if the kirtan group has happy faces, showing that they enjoy it, then people say, let me also chant, let me also make this experience. I think you also look now at the Kirtan group and want to think, is it better for me to be in the Kirtan group or sitting in the tent? Because what you also want is, you want an experience. So that our congregational preachers have to be very aware of. They have to give people a spiritual experience. And we do this through the chanting, through the friendships which develop with the nice Krishna conscious discussions, and also last not least through the nicely offered prasadam. As congregational preachers, we also have to be careful about what people don't want. So many don'ts and do's and so on are not required for congregational preaching. Remember, you don't preach to make people pujaris. You want them to experience Krishna consciousness in a very practical way, in a non-dogmatic way. So I can only say that Prabhupada's foretelling that in the future Krishna consciousness would mean temples with large congregations is coming true, and all of us can think about how we can become part in realizing Srila Prabhupada's foretelling for the future of ISKCON. I wish all of you that you can find your own place in the congregational preaching. Please don't think congregational preaching is only a specialized, almost sectarian department of the ISKCON movement. No, congregational preaching is a manifestation of showing compassion to the fallen souls. And this Jivadaya, showing compassion for others, is really one of the foundational principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental Sanatana Dharma movement. Please, all of you, in some ways or another, become congregational preachers. We need many. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Haribol. Thank you for your inspiring speech and your acceptance of the Bhakti Vinod Thakur Award for 2004-05.
I will definitely find a golden frame because it is so nice, and blue and gold makes a nice contrast.
We wish we could provide the frames. For being a Grihastha couple, steadily dedicated to preaching and cultivation of congregation. I know, Maharaj, you have a Harinam Yajna, so you can stay, or if you have to leave, we will understand that your heart is with us, but your duty calls you.
Yeah, there is a Nam Yajna in the temple, and I have...
we'll be going there after this is over.
Thank you very, very much. I wish you a very nice evening. Please continue staying here and appreciating and encouraging the devotees who get the award. And next year, please all get an award for yourself.
I think there's no Russian translation. Whereas who, for as long as I can remember, have made a difference in people's lives and have been preaching. And that is Sriman Paradeya Prabhu and Srimati Chaitanya Dasi. Chaitanya Dasi is accepting on behalf of both. You want to say a few words?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone. In California, Sacramento, I live there, and we have we brought house, and we have one side complete house, and other side we built hall, temple hall, and we have beautiful installed deities, Radha Govinda, beautiful temple, and we have also whole thing is for temple, like guest room and everything for devotee. And we preach regular, actually we preach all 6-7 days. 3 days we have a school program to public school, charter school and private school. We go around and do the Bhagavad Gita class and different drama. I also teach dances, so I have many students. Through them I do different preaching program. And then one day we have a youth group children classes, and then every Saturday we have a house program. We go from Sacramento to San Jose to Bay Area to Berkeley to San Francisco to LA all the way. So I go preach different house program with my husband. And then Sunday we have a house program, the Sunday feast. We make prasad and many people come and we do the Sunday program. That's our preaching. But from child, I know my husband is Srila Prabhupada disciple and always dedicated to Prabhupada and doing preaching. But for me, I'm born in Bengal, and from little girl I'm preaching and preaching and preaching. Preaching is my life, preaching is my everything, and I should request to all the grihastha to at least find some little time when you can preach, at least little bit. You can make maybe 1 month, maybe 2 devotees or something like that. In our congregation has every month has actually developing the devotees and chanting 8 rounds, 4 rounds, 16 rounds, taking also initiation. With me came some devotee to initiate, to take initiation. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is Jayapataka Advaita Acharya Award. This year it's been given for developing Bhakti Riksha modules, which are an ongoing work for helping the Bhakti Riksha group leaders like Chandramani Maharaj mentioned, some of them not so trained. So these modules help them to take their group through 1 year of, or even more than a year, of training programs and group programs very systematically. They worked at it very hard. This goes to Srimati Vijay Venugopal Prabhu and Srimati Prema Padmini Mataji. She here? I know how hard they've been working on these modules. She's preaching in the Middle East on a code name Mathura dish.
She's also the author of the book.
She's also the author of a book here called Free to Preach. If you want to get a copy, it's at the book table. Like to say anything?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for this award. The Bhakti Riksha modules has taken into account the fact that just like the principle behind how people can become preachers. I mean, it is based on the Bhakti Riksha manual, but the concept that everybody can become a preacher. Because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would visit villages and then preach to a few people, empower them, and whoever they went to and preached to, they would also become surcharged with spiritual energy to keep on expanding in that way. And also, Srila Prabhupada, he said that Normally we have to undergo some training in a school or college before you get a post. For example, if you have to be a lawyer, then you have to go through law school. But in Krishna consciousness, you empower them and give them the role to play, service, and then they grow with that service and develop the skills. Similarly, Bhakti Vriksha program, because of the spiritual concept of empowering people, it is possible that by very good, systematically guiding them how to approach people, because mainly first people get a taste of higher taste in materially before getting the spiritual higher taste. So this cultivation and friendly relationships is the higher taste, the material higher taste that people experience, because
Thank you for watching our videos. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.